Alam nyo, kapag sinabing news, usually ang mga pangalang lumalabas, Lori De Castro, Mel Bianco, at iba pang mga sikat na newscasters. Pero hindi alam ng karamihan ay may mga taong nagpapatakbo sa likod ng news programs. And for this episode of Time to Talk, pag-uusapan natin yung isang driving force ng ABS-CBN News and Current Affairs for so many years, really many years until she retired recently. But before that, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, PH Time, and press the notification button for future episodes. Narito ang babae kumastigo sa mga news anchors at reporters ng ABS-CBN, mga kaibigan. Ang walang kupas, matindi, na si Ging Reyes. Hi, Ging.
Hello. Hello, Butch. And hello to your subscribers and viewers. You know, it's so good to speak to somebody from the Philippines because I've been taking a break from all of that for a few months now. So, kamusta po kayo? It's good to be here.
Okay, so you retired kasi this year lang bale, di ba?
My last day was the December 31st.
Tapos, bakasyon grade na yun. Di ba, you are the rockstar in the newsroom.
Hindi naman. Hindi naman rockstar. You're being very kind, Butch. Siguro napaka-veterano ko kasi sa ABS. Right? I started in 1986 when they reopened, and I got to know everybody from my days as a production assistant. Alam mo naman, pag PA ka, utusan ka, di ba? And you do all the hard work. You talk to everybody, you coordinate, you plan, and you get to be trained by the best, right? When I became head in 2010, I knew everybody and I was friends with everybody too. Mahirap din yun kasi kaibigan mo lahat. When you make tough decisions and tough calls that affect their work or their lives, syempre nagtatampo sa iyo yan. But I made it clear to them that there is friendship and there is our professional lives.
Bakit? Sino ba pinakamatampuhin?
Lahat sila naman. Syempre lahat sila matampuhin.
We're talking of Noli, Corina, lahat sila.
I think the key is transparency and honesty. If you have no hidden agenda as a news head, if you are only after the best interest of the team, makikinig naman sila. Noli is so easy to talk to. You just explain to him. Kasi alam mo, ang mga anchors, hindi naman sila palaging nasa newsroom, right? They have their other activities. Kapag on board sila or on cam sila, tingin nila ganon. Itong trabaho ko at gagawin ko ito to the best of my ability. But as a news head, you see everything. You see the big picture, diba? You see how the public views you and your programs and your anchors. Pag napapaliwanagan naman ang mga anchors, maayos sila. Even Corina, by the way, is a very close friend. We started bonding and we got closer when I was bureau chief, based in North America, based in the States. Ted Filon also is a good friend. Noli, they're all my friends. They became my friends because we started together, I guess. At malalim ang pinagsamahan namin. There are others who were not really friends in the beginning but became close to me also, like Karen. Kasi, di ba, iba ang pinanggalingan ni Karen and she just joined us in the late 90s. But, you know, my relationship with our anchors, I could say, has been very good, very open, and very honest.
Ito naman, kasi you've met so many people in the course of your career, no? Halimbawa, ano ang pwede mong i-share sa experience mo? Si Barack Obama, you met him?
Well, I covered him in 2007 and 2008 when he was campaigning and when he actually won. But I never really got close to him kasi napakahigpit ng security at that time, ano. But I could say that his announcement in Springfield, Illinois, that very cold winter morning, was really historic. And to this day, I am very fortunate. I see myself as very fortunate to have been part of it. Former Secretary of State and First Lady Hillary Clinton, I actually met and I talked to her. I interviewed her, remember, after President Cory died. She was really very sincere, in my opinion, and she knew a lot about our country. No, she knew a lot about the Philippines. I also covered former President George W. Bush. In fact, I covered his second campaign and his second inauguration in Washington, D.C. Marami naman ding ordinaryong tao lang na nakita tayo at na-meet natin, Butch. And I must say that I learned a lot from them too. I met a lot of Filipino soldiers who fought in the Gulf War, the Iraq War that began in 2003. And I was so impressed by their dedication, by their commitment to duty. I also met a lot of Filipino community leaders here in America, and natuwa ako dahil napakalalim ng pagmamahal nila sa Pilipinas kahit na dekada na silang nandito. I met celebrities and notable people, but also ordinary folk.
Idol mo raw si Barat.
Well, natuwa ako sa kanya. First, my introduction to him was his book, Dreams from My Father. And I thought that it was written very well. And at that time, he wasn't famous. So he really wrote it himself. Because, you know, famous people have ghostwriters, right? Most of them at least. And I thought that he wrote very well. Bilib ako sa mga magaling magsulat. Yun ang una kong nagustuhan sa kanya at the time. I still think that he tried his best to be a good president, but there were a lot of obstructions during his 2 terms. It's very inspiring.
Kay Maria Ressa, among her many qualities, which one do you admire most?
Maria Ressa, her courage, of course. Napakatapang ni Maria, and I think lahat naman tayo may takot sa buhay, but she manages to still stand by her convictions even if sometimes her challenges are so daunting. Yun ang gusto ko sa kanya. Matapang siya at ging napaka-vocal niya sa kanyang mga prinsipyo.
Punta naman tayo sa best friend ni Maria Ressa, si former President Rodrigo Duterte. Ano yung gusto mo itanong sa kanya?
Kay President Duterte, alam mo, ang gusto kong itanong sa kanya, bakit, ano talaga ang galit mo sa ABS-CBN?
Gusto mo pa ulit?
Hindi ba? Parang alam ko naman na may galit siya sa may-ari dahil lagi niyang sinasabi yon, di ba? Pero ano pa talaga ang galit mo sa kumpanya, sa mga tao na talagang siniguro mo na hindi na kami makakabangon at mawawalan ng trabaho ang libo-libo naming kasama.
I digress a bit, no? Yung bang sinabi ni Lauren Jogi na para bang we are no longer a network but content creator?
So direct wala na talagang network.
Naniniwala na kayo.
For now, you need to understand that we're not a network anymore because we don't have a brand. We're a media company. We're a content creator now. So wherever we can bring our content with the biggest reach, and we have to recognize that GMA has the biggest reach right now because they're the #1 station. And partnering, we're very thankful to them for opening their doors also to partner with us. But the same way that A to Z has been with us from the start, and now Channel 5 and all the other OTT platforms that's been collaborating with us. Maraming salamat. You keep us alive. We've been struggling for the past 3 years, but awa ng Diyos. Nandito pa rin naman po kami. And nandito
Or anong sabi mo? Do you agree with him?
At this point, there is no other path to take for ABS but to take advantage of our strength. Our strengths lie in creating content, meaning creating programs, taking care of the talents that are behind those programs. At saka nagbabago na rin naman ang mundo. We don't know for how long people will continue to watch television, right? Kailangan talagang mag-adjust. And if you don't have a franchise, you don't have a license to operate a broadcasting company, you don't have the frequencies, so wala kang channels, di ba, to be reached by people or to reach people through the free-to-air platforms, ano pa ang gagawin mo? Kailangang magpakagaling na lang talaga ang ABS sa pag-produce ng content.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
the problem is the distribution. Kailangan makahanap ng maraming distribution platforms so that whatever content we create or they create could be seen by as many people as possible.
Punta naman tayo kasi 36 years kang nasa ABS-CBN, no? Pwede bang balikan natin yung career path na dinaanan mo until you retired? Parang in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, 36 years in a nutshell. Many people know this. I worked for ABS in 1986. I joined thousands of people applying. I applied as a production assistant for news. I worked my way up. As PA at the time, we would collate scripts. We would become floor directors. We would be in charge of graphics. Nasa illustration board pa ang mga graphics noon, the over-the-shoulder graphics that you saw before. Those were hand-painted by our artists. And I was part of the team that made sure we always had those artworks. And at the same time, my producers, Becky Cabral and Butch Raquel, may he rest in peace, gave me enough opportunities to shine and to learn. Even as a PA at the time, I was editing scripts, I was writing and rewriting stories kasi kulang ng tao, di ba? So alam mo naman ng mga producers, if you show a little bit of talent, they would notice and give you more assignments. So I was very grateful for that because they trained me well. And then I also trained under Angelo Castro Jr., who was very creative and had a very good eye for aesthetics. So natuto ako dyan, and then later on I became associate producer and executive producer for The World Tonight.
Angelo Castro Jr. with Miss Lorraine Regatta for The World Tonight nationwide.
Did that for a long time until I became assistant news director to Danny Buenafe sometime in 2000, I think. And from there, I became news bureau chief. I was based in the US. That's when I started going on camera as a reporter, Butch. Takot na takot at ninenervyos ako noon because I was used to working behind the scenes. But, you know, practice. I guess as a producer, I knew what kind of stories the audience would like and my bosses would want. Medyo may edge na ako ng konti. Marunong ako magsulat, marunong akong mag-produce. That was it for me. I thought I would be bureau chief forever until I retire, but Charo Santos and Gabby Lopez recruited me back into Manila, back into the news headquarters, and they said in 2010, why don't you head our newsroom? And so I returned in October of 2010 and headed the newsroom for 12 years until I retired last year.
Coming from a very demanding job, so anong ngayon ang pinagkakabalan mo?
Ngayon, I'm really taking a long break, Butch.
How enviable.
Sa totoo lang, I don't really know what to do because I originally planned my retirement with my husband, but he died in 2021. We marked second death anniversary this month, last March 11. So I am just chilling, as the Gen Z people would say. No, I'm chilling. But I've finished a couple of online training classes, and I am enrolled in another online class that will start in April. Ganun muna, I'm just trying to brush up on my knowledge because, you know, it's a different world now, especially for media people and for journalists. It's a difficult, challenging world now with all the digital disruptions and the changes that happen like within weeks of each other. So, nag-aaral tayo uli, basically. At I don't know, I'm doing a little bit of writing right now.
Okay, kasi matagal na kumakalat itong balita tungkol sa iyo.
Sa akin?
Bigla ka naman namutla. Ito lang, ang sabi kasi nila, parang you are a renaissance woman kasi you have so many interests in different fields.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Ang galing-galing mo rin magluto, halimbawa. Yun lang naman ang chismis tungkol sa'yo. Ito naman kinabahan ka agad
Hindi. Alam mo, yeah, I love to cook. I cooked for my family. I was also thinking of opening my own bed and breakfast, 'di ba? Mahilig ako mag-ayos ng bahay. Ganyan, mga interest ko 'yan. In fact, when I was with my friends back home, I would tell them that what if we have a restaurant or a cafe that is also a library? It will cater to a different market, of course, because you know, people hardly read books anymore. But there still are, di ba? Meron pang mga tao na may interes magbasa ng totoong libro ngayon. I would like to harness that and find a way to attract that kind of a market, if you will. Pero hindi ko pa alam kung ano talaga ang gagawin ko na permanente, Butch, to be honest. It's a very, very open-ended thing for me.
Wait, so do you specialize in healthy or sinful but delicious food?
Unfortunately, hindi ako healthy. I'm
Mag-
not a healthy food eater.
Magkakasundo tayo dyan.
You know, my husband loved my dinuguan. That was his favorite. My paella. I really even went to a cooking class, a paella cooking class, to learn more about how to do it, how to cook it.
Totoo bang mas masarap ito kung sa ilalim?
Of course, I even bought a paella stove in Gordos para pantay yung apoy.
If you were to serve a dish sa mga bashers and sa mga trolls, ano yun?
Bashers and trolls. Wow.
Dapat ba sila pakainin o dapat silang gutumin o dapat lasunin o ano ba dapat?
I've learned to ignore them. In fact, nabash din ako, no? Ang matinding bashing din, naranasan ko yan when I was news head. And I guess that happens when you are in social media, that can't be avoided. I think I would feed them ampalaya na talagang diba? Yung hindi mo hinugasan bago mo igisa, that would be perfect.
So, start serving. Okay, punta naman tayo sa music. Favorite artist mo at favorite songs mo?
Okay. You know, I have a very wide range of music preferences. In fact, in my playlist, no, you would see the Beatles, you would see Andrea Bocelli, you would see Fleetwood Mac, Eraserheads, Coldplay, even Ed Sheeran. I'm more of a rock and roll fan. Yeah. Mahilig ako sa ganyan. I love Parokya ni Edgar. I love Lea Salonga.
Who doesn't?
Malawak ang aking musical preferences. And depende sa mood ko. Like, yesterday I was listening to Queen. The other day I was listening to Coldplay playlist. And I don't mean the old Coldplay, pati yung mga bago, gusto ko ring pakinggan. Depende sa mood ko siguro. I think music speaks to us in different ways. That's why probably a lot of genres appeal to me. And a lot of artists too.
Ito naman, this is a rather difficult question. Kung meron kang type of music, kanta, na pwede mong i-describe yung pagkakatanggal ng franchise ng ABS-CBN, what would it be?
Oh, music or song?
Kung ano rin kita mag-isip.
You know, it was so tragic. I can't think of anything right now. Ano bang tragic song?
Kung yung ABS-CBN Tower ang kakanta, siguro, This Is My Life. Kasi una na-confiscate siya. Tapos, franchise.
This is my life. Hindi ba the winner takes it all or something like that? I don't know. Impossible Dream ba sa ngayon ang kanta niya? Pwede rin.
Mr. Endless.
Oo.
Sige, wag na lang muna yun.
Mahirap kasi alam mo, Butch, it was life-changing to many of our colleagues. At hanggang ngayon, nagdudusa ang marami dahil doon. Every time my friends and I would talk about those moments, I couldn't help but cry and really feel heavy in my chest because while we feared it and in a way prepared for it,
You can never be prepared enough, di ba?
yes, you can never be prepared enough. It was still stunning when it happened and almost unthinkable, of course. Pero ngayon, syempre, hindi na siya unthinkable because it happened.
Alam ko, interesado kayo sa film. Ano opinion mo doon sa mga pelikulang nagkaroon ng historical revisionism?
I think it's unfortunate that films are now the latest to be used by people who want to revise history or propagate certain myths around certain people. Hindi sana ganon ang dapat mangyari, Butch. Let's properly label or let's call them for what they are. If you're saying it's based on true events, but with different twists that you took artistic liberty on, then say it. If you are saying that this is a biopic or this movie is based on true events, period, then you have a responsibility to be truthful. you have a responsibility to at least, even with artistic license, attempt to stay close to the truth.
Okay, punta naman tayo sa mga pelikula. Pwede stick tayo sa local na lang. Favorite
Sure.
films mo, favorite actors mo.
I like many of our actors. I've always admired the talent of John Lloyd. Remember him? Does he still make movies? Ano nangyari sa kanya? I've always admired his acting talent.
Ay, an actor, mas malalim pa siya ngayon. Kasi sumusugal siya sa mga indie movies na hindi porket commercial movie.
Oo.
Sa urian niya, ginawa namin actor of the decade na nga siya.
Si John Lloyd, 'di ba? Masyado siyang matapang. And taking a break just to find out really who he is and what he wants. To me, that's admirable. I mean, not everyone can afford to do that, right?
It's not even taking a break kasi nagbago siya ng
Oo, hindi lang break. Tama ka.
laging puro commercial movies ang ginagawa niya. Kasi ng mga Love Diaz movies na
Yes.
alim, matapang.
Independent, right? Yeah. See, I like that about him. I also like the son of Dolphy, Epi Quezon.
Yeah.
Magaling siya, 'di ba? He's very underrated in my opinion. Who else?
Naka-Grand Slam naman yan. So, hindi na
Oh, 'di ba? Oo nga pala, no? Anong movie nga 'yon?
Diba?
Markova? Yes. See, he's a very good actor. So, yun yung mga naalala ko at the top of my head that I admire in terms of actors. Jacqueline Jose is a very good actress. Charo Santos, di ba? Of course, our superstar, Nora. I was an Oranian when I was a kid. This is something most people don't know about me. I collected the magazines of old. I remember I was very young and I had an aunt who would give me those magazines and I would keep them. And then my mom was so angry at me because all I did the whole day was, to leaf through those magazines and admire Nora. And at that time, it was Guy and Pip, right? At that time, there was Guy and Pip.
Silapin ni Wayway.
Yeah. I mean, all those fan magazines of old. I mean, remember there were magazines before that were all about your idols, yung mga specials yata siya. Ang dami kong collection ng ganyan nung araw because I was an Oranian as a kid. And then I outgrew it. I don't understand why, but I outgrew it. And then I became a Vilmanian. I became a Vilmanian in college.
At what point?
Huh? At what? I think maybe in high school. I think when she was doing films like Relasyon, like Sister Stella L. Yeah.
Okay. So, yung traveling naman kasi from what I hear, you love to travel. So, do you like traveling alone? What are your favorite places? Parang ano yung traveling tips? Kailangan ba magdala ka ng graduation yearbook? Graduation picture?
Hindi naman. Well, that news item when I found out about that was really unfortunate. I guess there was an overzealous officer who was, probably guarding against human trafficking, etc., etc. But really, that kind of questioning was out of line. But beyond that, I must say that I love traveling alone and with friends or with a group too. In fact, when I was traveling in Europe this last month, na-miss ko ang anak ko, na-miss ko ng husto ang asawa ko dahil paborito din niya, ang gustong-gusto din niya ang magbiyahe. So as for traveling alone, I think some tips would be make sure you stay at a good location, 'di ba? Huwag kang masyadong malayo doon sa lugar na pupuntahan mo, 'di ba? I started doing this when I was bureau chief, right? Kasi at that time I would go to so many cities alone and then I would meet a cameraman there or somebody who would help me cover. And then after a while, after the work is done, I'd be alone and I'd take a day off or two to explore the place by myself. So I learned from my experiences in those days that as long as you stay in a in a town that or a city that's considered safe, you'd be fine. And it will be good for you not to wear flashy jewelry, not to wear designer bags, and you have to be careful. Make sure that you only carry a small purse that's in front of you, at wag kang magmumukhang clueless, no? You have to act as if you know what you're doing and where you're going, and that way you are not threatened. But you also have to heighten your senses because you're alone. There's no one to warn you about certain things. There's no one to tell you na, hoy, mag-ingat ka dyan, or hoy, tumingin ka sa kanan, sa kaliwa. So you have to make sure you know how to take care of yourself, because you are your own defense, your only defense against the elements, whether it's a storm coming or a hold up thief who's trying to score a few dollars from whoever. So kailangan talagang maging maingat tayo. But you have to be confident to do it. If you're not, then I suggest you just travel with a group or with your family or with friends.
Mahilig ka daw sa shoes and bags.
Guilty ako dyan.
Pero hanggang saan mo pwedeng sabihin na parang excessive na para isang babae na napakaraming shoes at saka ng bags? Kasi parang especially shoes, I mean, like, how many feet does a woman have?
Definitely naman, hindi naman dapat umabot ng thousands, okay? I love shoes, I love handbags and purses, but I don't think I'm excessive. I draw the line at sabihin na natin yung nakaka-guilty ng amount, obscenely expensive. I wouldn't spend my money on an obscenely expensive bag, even if it's, say, the top of the line or the it bag of the moment. In fact, I think that's also one thing that I have outgrown, Butch. Hindi na ako, kasi unang-una hindi na ako nagtatrabaho na talagang full-time. And part of the reason I was fond of them was because I needed to wear them every day. I needed to have shoes and bags for everyday wear and for special occasions. Those occasions have decreased, di ba? Have declined. Wala nang masyadong pupuntahan na ganun ngayon. I no longer indulge, if you will, in those things. If ever, I try to spend my money more wisely these days, because you don't have disposable income anymore. Iba yung retired life eh.
Babalikan na naman natin isang masakit na chapter sa buhay as an ABS-CBN executive on that day nung nawala finally sa TV Patrol.
There were 2 news people who informed me we will be served a cease and desist order. And people were starting to cry. It was confirmed, and I got a copy of the cease and desist order. So it was official. And I told people, huwag kayong umiyak. We knew this would happen.